Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Questions on Reason. It's your host, Manaka Anthony Raphasha. It's the R baby. It's the R my G. The media doesn't have questions anymore. It has questions and reason. All right. Today we're gonna be discussing the Hakim situation. He's gonna be our case study. So, marriage, divorce, division of assets and estate. All right. Coolies. Yeah, we're gonna be discussing marriage. We're gonna be discussing divorce. We're gonna be discussing division of estate. But we wanna be very, very specific and do it in the context of the parties that we're gonna be discussing, right? We're not gonna be broad because marriage take many forms in a lot of traditions, in a lot of religions, depending where you are in the world. Okay. All right. Okay, let's just maybe try and briefly discuss marriage. Marriage is a social institution. Social what? Institution. Institution. Marriage is a social institution and it provides a framework. Provides a framework for raising kids, for raising children, and is by far the best framework that human beings ever came with, right? So, yeah, well, we haven't seen anything other than marriage that proves to be a good framework for raising children. Yeah, like I said, it takes many forms, but um, back in the day, marriage was for what? Extending political connections, building communities. Um, by political, I mean that tribes will have a peace treaty and it will happen through marriage. So I'm just gonna write it down. So forming alliances, right? It was for forming alliances in elite families and in dynasties. This was used to preserve wealth, preserve wealth, or keep wealth within the family, right? So for preserving wealth, and for what in other cultures it will be to ensure bloodline continuation. And only recently, like it is compared to how old human beings or civilization is, it is relatively recent that marriage is now for seeking companionship, for romantic love, and compatibility. So, like I said, it is a very recent thing, which of course was inspired by the ancient Greek, who believed that two people can actually fall in love, but it was given more weight during the Enlightenment, and romanticism. This is the 18th century, 19th century. So like I said, it is relatively recent. People didn't marry for love. They didn't marry for compatibility, for companionship. It's only now that we see people getting into that, and a lot of divorce happens because I think it's because it's relatively recent. We don't know how to make it work in that way. But normally people married for money. If you marry for money now, they call you all kind of names, gold digger, whatever they try to call you. They married to form alliances, and yeah, and things like that. These things are obviously dying out, but there are still cultures that are preserving that. All right. So I'm under load shedding, guys. So that's why you see I'm like in a dark place or something like that. Once my power comes back, I'll try to have lighting. Okay, it's the story of South Africa. I mean, this week was even worse. I mean, they can take your power for 4 hours, give you power for 2 hours, then take it for another 4 hours, give you for 2 hours and take it for another 4 hours. So I would have like electricity for 6 hours in a day. That's crazy. I mean, you expect us to be productive and economical and try to transform a country. How will we do that when we are living in conditions like this? But I'm not here to complain, and I'm not even here to talk about ESCOM. We're talking marriage. Okay, so we want to talk about Hakim, right? Hakim, there he is. I mean, his headline of the news now: a decorated soccer player who plays for PSG. I mean, you can go Google him, and we wanna talk about his wife. Oh, who's Hakim's wife? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Hiba. Yeah. So I had like 10-year-olds praising Hakim, saying this guy is smart. He transferred all his assets and estate in his mother's name. That's so smart. But we are here to try and investigate if that is smart or just luck, right? Okay, so Hakim and the wife are Spanish. I know somebody will ask, why is he playing for Morocco? Well, we'll also tackle the context of Morocco. I want this to be very context specific. So Hakim is born and raised in Spain. Spain are neighbors to Morocco, so it's not that really far. Just across the border, right? Parents are of Moroccan descent. The parents are from Morocco. Okay, sorry. Okay, Morocco is a North African country. Spain is a country in Europe, right? So he's born and raised in Spain. So we're gonna try and tackle his divorce or division of assets and estate under the Spanish law. Even the wife is from Spain. Let's try and verify that. So the wife is from Spain, but of Libyan and Tunisian descent, unlike Hakim, who is both parents are Moroccan, right? Okay, so Spanish actress. Let's look into it. We want to provide context because somebody will say whatever they want to say, but then they say it in a different context and it sounds right to them, and that's not what we're going to do. We don't want to rob ourselves from getting to the root of the matter, right? Yeah, my network is bad, guys, but we'll go with that. She is of Libyan and Tunisian descent. You see, so her parents had early settled in Spain after immigrating from Tunisia. So we're gonna be going for Tunisia. So we have a person, the husband Hiba, the groom Hiba, from Tunisian descent. Okay, let me put it under there. Context is everything. All right, so we have Hiba, who is of Tunisian and Libyan descent. Right, but both of them are raised in Spain. They have a Spanish citizenship under the Spanish family law, which is called the Civil Code. It is fraudulent to transfer what? Assets and estate under somebody else's name, and estate under someone else's name. In order to deceive your partner, or that you might avoid them being shared with your partner when you divorce. Let me try and erase this. So we established the context that they have to be under, right? So, Spanish Civil Code. Spanish Civil Code. Spanish Civil Code operates under the principle of incommunity of property. Okay, by this it means that it makes a distinction between joint property and individual property. Joint property is property that is acquired during marriage. And this one is property acquired pre-marriage. Okay, so everything that is acquired during the marriage is to be shared equally, something called fair share, equitable share, whatever you want to name it, doesn't matter as long as we understand what is what. So joint under the Spanish Civil Code, community of property means that everything that we acquire during our marriage is what? Is shared equally, provided it is not a gift or inheritance. But if the gift or the inheritance is used to, acquire property, then it might be, provided it's proven, it might be shared as well, equally. Right? So the Spanish law seeks to protect both the rights of a woman and the rights of a man. Let's try and erase the notes. But I think so far we're making good progress. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on this one. I was just concerned hearing 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds saying this guy is smart, and we have to investigate if really that is smart or that is risky. Okay, so we established the Spanish Civil Code. It says that whatever it is that we have during our marriage, we have to divide, and we have to divide it equally, right? And if it's an inheritance, if it's a gift, then that can still belong to the person, right? So community of property is default unless there's prenup, right? A prenuptial agreement. If there's a prenuptial agreement, then we can say, okay, we are forced to be governed by whatever it states, provided that this agreement also is legit, because some people can come and try and prove things that are not really there, right? I'm sorry guys about the network. Like I said, I'm in load shedding, so I can't really search so that we can verify those things, but during the video shoot, but it's fine, you can still go and try and verify them, right? So what Hakim did, putting his assets under the mom's name, his assets under his mother's name, if it is proved that it was done with an intent to deceive, he can be prosecuted under criminal law. Under criminal law for fraud. And further penalties can be instituted by the court because of what we call the breach of trust. So you tell me if this is smart. Is this smart? Because if it is proven, what's going to happen? All the properties will be reverted to or under the original owner, right? It will be divided, and he might be prosecuted under criminal law, which will be decided by the courts what happened to him. But imagine you are now a criminal because you tried to deceive, and you have breached trust, and there's extra penalties like fines and stuff like that. You are paying extra amount of money, right? So just because if he gets away with it, doesn't mean that you should follow that example, especially if you're under the South African law, because that's not gonna fly. Okay, it's never gonna fly. Okay, somebody might say, oh, but he's not Spanish, he is Moroccan, right? Okay, well, and in Morocco is a bit harder to, well, let me give it context before we get there, right? Let's give it context. Let's give it context. Okay, because he's of Moroccan descent, we will look at the Morocco as well. Morocco, family law. It's called the Modawana. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing right. The Modawana is more of the same to the Spanish law, but it's a principle from Islam, Islamic principle. So in Morocco, they tried to defend the rights of women and protect them against patriarchy, right? Okay, so what does Modawana states? Like I said, it's more of the same in community of property. I think we discussed how that works when we were explaining the Spain version. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and explain how that works now. So in Morocco, how does marriage happen? If you look at the deep rural areas, it's a family affair. Family affair. And the family looks for the bride. Looks for the bride for their child, for their son, right? And according to the tradition, it has nothing to do with companionship. It has nothing to do with compatibility. It has nothing to do with romantic love. My power is back, guys. Let me try. It's the life we live, man. It's the life we live. Okay, my power is back. I'm just gonna try and put this thing here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right, so we established that in Morocco, the traditional customs. It has nothing to do with companionship. It has nothing to do with compatibility. It has nothing to do with romantic love. And but the bride and groom still have a choice to say no. This is not the person that I want to be with, but they're not the one who seek them. It is the enlightenment that came with these things, plus individualism, right? So they came with companionship, compatibility, romantic love, individualism. These things are from the Western culture. It's not African, it's not Arab, it's not Berber. It's not part of who we are. We are being influenced. So, but if you go to Morocco in urban areas now, individualism starts to creep in a little bit, right? Well, I'm trying to erase this part so we can make space for more notes. So this is the Moroccan family law, which state that it should be split equally as well. Problem is that patriarchy sometimes nullifies it. Patriarchy and tradition and, you know, religious leaders might nullify this, and the woman might walk out with nothing in the marriage. But this still shows gender inequality, which is a huge thing. I think we will do a video on gender equality, and we'll do a video on the Enlightenment period and Romanticism period, so that we can get to understand these things deeply. But what I wanted to do is to establish the fact that under the Modawana as well, it is still fraudulent. It is still what? Fraud to transfer your name under someone's, your estate estate and assets. Under someone's name to protect it. Doesn't matter who that person is. If it is proven, you will face the law, the might of the law. And unless if you know how to work around the law. But I don't advise anyone to do it. It's risky. Okay. All right. I think I'm at the end of my video. Okay, I wanted to talk about the urban area in Morocco, right? Moroccan urban areas. So, like I said, that love is not really why people normally marry in Morocco, but then there's individualism now because the Western culture is influencing all of us, right? So in the urban areas now, people or young men look for partners. And they have civil marriages, or cohabitation now, to avoid the old traditions, which most people feel it's heavy, where you get to pay dowry, compensate the wife's family for the loss of their daughter. We have discussed dowry or lobola, which it is the African context of dowry. Lobola is the African context of dowry. If you wanna have a look at that, you can just check the previous videos. So now, young men, go out there and try to, work around this thing of seeking for companionship and being individuals, but the families still have a huge say. They have a huge say because in Morocco, marriage is about bringing two families together. It's not about two individuals. The idea of it being two individuals comes from French Revolution and stuff like that. And like I said, it's relatively young, and because we don't know how to operate within that framework, we mostly end up with divorce. Okay, so if these are not the context that if you don't look at the context of what's going on, it's easy to just say what you feel. You are entitled to what you feel, but at the end of the day, the law is gonna win, right? Not your feelings, not your emotions, not how you see things. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. You decide if what he did is smart. I think he was just lucky that maybe the wife is not really pursuing this, or the ex-wife is not really pursuing this, but it's luck. If somebody pursues it and try and really find the loopholes, it might go south for him, way south. Okay, all right, so this is your boy the R. We are coming on to 32 minutes, which is amazing. All right, so this is your boy the R. Until the next video, I'm on the topic was this personal conflict. That is what I want to do a series on. I just wanted to include this one because of the concern I had around it, to say, okay, if you feel it's smart, do it, but know that there's a lot of risk involved. You might say, okay, I'm gonna put everything under my mom's name way before marriage, which might work, but you still have to acquire things during your marriage. You still have to have a family home. You still have to have all these things that make your family to be comfortable and things like that. And if you are in Morocco, those things will automatically be community of property. If you are in Spain, those things will automatically be split equally. And if you try to use the money that you acquired during your marriage to give it to somebody else in deception, it might not end well for you. Okay, so South Africa is the same. If I'm based in South Africa, so it might go south for you. You might end up facing criminal charges and fines and stuff like that, and you don't want to find yourself in that position. Okay, I think I'm going off track, but like I said, I think it's just lucky. If the wife really wanted to pursue this, he wouldn't get away with it, and his life might be worse than it is now, because divorce on its own is emotionally straining financially straining, and now you have to add on with the criminal charges and stuff like that. So we have established it is fraud. Don't try and do it. Okay? Alright, this is Questions and Reason. Manaka Anthony Raphasha, your host. Thank you so much for being here. Okay? Hope you guys are good. Cheers.